the White House, Biden, oh, this is happening because Donald Trump said we're getting the troops out. Donald Trump, if you look back to what he was doing, he was putting in, first, he was cutting peace deals. But secondarily, the condition of the troops being removed from the Middle East was conditional on these peace deals being completed and going into effect.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am super excited to have this next guest on. He is a super bright mind. He's also in my area, in the Jersey, New York area. So I actually got to hang out with him a little bit yesterday, had some drinks, hung out a bit and schmoozed a little bit at the protest. We'll talk about all that. But I'd like for you guys to meet Mike Crispi from RSBN and his own show, Red, White, and Truth. Thanks for coming on here, Mike.
Hey, absolutely, man. No, it's great to be here. We had a great time yesterday, mixing it up with some patriots who were protesting for freedom, and then also some whack jobs who wanted to break it up. Some of these people are crazy. You and I had a good time yesterday seeing all that.
For sure.
Up at De Blasio.
Yeah, what was your favorite part of it? I mean, if you could kind of sum it up for people that may not know what we were doing yesterday. As of right now, as we're recording, this is probably going to be out in a couple days. So just sum it up for us.
Well, I'll say that my favorite part about it, obviously, was the energy in the crowd. I mean, everyone says New York is a liberal hellhole, and to an extent it is. But, you had hundreds of people coming to the Gracie Mansion, standing there. People were on the street. They had signs. They were energized.
Yeah.
But I also like to see the other side because it leads me to believe that I'm on the right side. It confirms that I'm on the right side because these people are wacko. They look really ugly. They look demented. They look psychopathic. And those are the people counter-protesting. So when I see that, I go, I'm on the right side with the right people.
Yeah, I mean, there was one guy in particular who maybe I shouldn't pick a fight with, but for the views, I'll do it. This guy, Walter Matherson, he's a very popular leftist troll, and he was out there in full MAGA gear. I'm talking like the MAGA bucket hat, the flag, like everything, head to toe dripping. And he was pretty much just shouting really racist things in order for people to get the coverage of it and then say, oh, look, this is all MAGA Trump supporters. And, there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. We did see a couple scuffles as well, which I thought was interesting. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool to see people like Scott Pressler talking about, the educational system and how the right has to really push forward in getting in the little nuances of our American government, right? We need to be in the school boards. We need to be in every local level of politics, all these things. I think, and I'd love to get your take on this. That's one of the things I haven't heard talked about more so before Trump that is really prevalent now. Why do you think that is?
Yeah. Well, I got to say, I think one of the biggest consequences of us electing Donald Trump, and in history, people say, well, he got this done, he didn't get that done. But something that he did that is going to stand in the history books forever, for that rest of time, is that he woke up millions of people that previously weren't engaged in the political discourse in our country. So that's why I love him. He literally opened up the swamp. And that's why people in government don't like him, because he made people who were regular Americans working their job, doing their thing, cashing their paycheck, raising their family. He made them go, wait a minute, what's happening in my school board? What's happening in my town council? What's happening in my state assembly? These crooks who have been in these state governments for years and years and years, getting away with it with nobody looking. Now they feel the heat. Now people are showing up to the school board meetings, and that's a good thing. The only person that's bad for are the corrupt politicians themselves. So hats off to Donald Trump who did that. He's going to be in the history books for doing just that. That's the greatest accomplishment of him, and one of the greatest political accomplishments, period, I think, in my lifetime, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, and I think it took Donald Trump to kind of show this to the common person, but for the longest time, the left has been politicizing regular life, right? And they've been pretty much saying, like, everything is political, and increasingly so. Not only is everything political, but everything is governmental, right? Everything deserves to have government within it. And I think that's one of the great things that's happening now with the right, is that people are kind of waking up to the fact, like, not only is that not true, but if you want to push through government, then we're going to push back through government to take back what's rightfully ours as the American people.
Yeah, no, I would just say that, I was thinking about this. It's like we're in a war right now for the soul of our country. I mean, people wouldn't have thought a year ago that we would be on the streets protesting the fact that, starting in a couple of weeks, restaurants are going to turn people away based on their medical status. I don't think we would have ever thought that that day would be here in the United States of America. It literally almost reminds me of what's going on in Afghanistan with the Taliban and their new things that they're putting in place. It's not that far off, but the fact that people are doing that and doing this, we're in unprecedented times, and we're in a war right now to maintain the freedoms. And to win these wars, I mean, you got to win the battles, right? A lot of little battles out there. Battle, battle, battle. The battle is in your school board. The battle is in your town council. The battle is, you walking into a restaurant or being in a public place and not wearing the mask. The battle is not allowing people to put you in fear. The battle is fighting against your children wearing masks in schools. So you got to win all these battles to win this collective war that we're in. And it's going to take millions of people fighting back, because the left has been doing this for years and years and years. They're very good organizers. I'll give them that. They're freaky, they're ugly, they're smelly, they're demented, but they're very good organizers, and they're passionate. So we need to match that passion, get in the streets, get in the communities, stand up for our freedoms, and win these battles. It's the only way that we're going to win the war that we found ourselves in.
Absolutely. I think it's interesting to look at that. I want to talk about Afghanistan in a minute, but I'd like to get your opinion on this. Knowing that we have to win these battles little by little, I tend to look at people that are, I guess, around in my life, people that I grew up with that tend to be relatively conservative people, but they're not politically minded at all. They're very, very apolitical. How do you get somebody like that to, first of all, have any faith in the system that, their vote will matter at all? Because what I've noticed is that, a father of two in Georgia or West Virginia or something like that, he doesn't care to vote because he's like, oh, the system's corrupt anyway. I'm just going to go to work, make sure my family's taken care of, and just handle my own, right? And for me, it's almost a little bit off-putting or it's a little discouraging, because we're here trying to fix this broken system, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have any faith in it at all. What do you think is the proper, I guess, posture to take with people like that?
I'll say, look at the people who get elected. This is truly the swamp of local politics. You got a district, a community. You got 50,000 people and 7,000 people vote, and that's how they elect their representative. Could you imagine where we would be as a society if every single person took 20 minutes 5 days before an election to look up who the candidates were running in their town that are passing these mandates, passing these rules? I hope, with all the chaos and the catastrophe that's gone on with these illegal and tyrannical COVID measures, that at the very least, people would finally wake up and say, wait, what goes on in my community matters. I think it's like 50, 60% of the population vote in presidential elections, but it's so much more important to vote in your town council, in your assembly, in your school board. You vote for your school board. So these psychopaths who are putting masks on your children, making them restrict their oxygen for 8 hours a day, they're sick people. But guess what? You have the power to vote for them or vote them out or vote them in. And that's what the message needs to be. And the people out there who are just cashing their checks and working for their families and they're working tough hours, I get it. I understand. I have so many friends who are like that. They're working in New York City in the world of finance and all different fields, and they're so busy. But I always say this, listen, take a half an hour, whatever it be, look up the candidates, watch their videos, watch what they're doing. If everybody just took that little piece of civic duty and we made the vote go up to 60% in local elections, then the whole country would change, because you have to change it from the ground up. You can't change it from the top down. Donald Trump got elected to be the change agent, but even him alone at the top was not going to be able to influence all these things. You saw when he was president, he was battling against local governments and these mandates, right? You need to do it from the bottom up rather than the top down. So all these people, and I have so many friends like that who are living their life, they're like, it doesn't matter, it's such a big thing. Everybody literally just said, 30 minutes out of my week, a week before the election, to see what the hell's going on, maybe watch some debates, get some information online. Everything's out there these days. You could literally change the country quickly, but we got to do it. Everyone's got to do their part. And I guess people like us, that's the message. You just got to keep pounding the drum, and hopefully we do that before it's too late.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think one of the best examples of how important local politics is Ron DeSantis in Florida, right? Like, the things that he's been able to do throughout this whole pandemic era are kind of unparalleled, and it kind of shows the importance of having state-run governments that ultimately respond to a federal government. So the idea of a representative republic, right? So uh, for me, I like to point to that as an example, just in case anybody's watching that may be weary about like whether or not I should even care about local politics. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely, this is going to affect your children. It's going to affect your children's education. It's going to affect your jobs. It's going to affect, of course, taxes. But whether or not you even get to keep your job is going to affect that. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of things at play right now, and I think now more than ever, the American public is waking up and saying, "Wait a minute, things are funky right now." But
Yeah. It's like this
I
is your local community. It's funky. You got to take a stand. Yep.
yeah. So let's change gears a little bit towards Afghanistan and what's happening overseas, because I think that's kind of the talk of the country right now.
Yeah, I would say
For
so.
Consider me ignorant in this. I want to hear your complete take on what's happening over there from what you know or what you've learned so far, and just break it down for the audience.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, what happened in Afghanistan is really a manifestation of 20 years of absolute failure. I mean,
Mm.
we saw, we went to Afghanistan. We've been in the Middle East without a plan. I mean, I support the foreign policy of peace through strength. I've listened to leaders like Rand Paul, Ron Paul, Donald Trump. I've listened to them talk about the situation, and I really think, honestly, we were at a point where we were going to come to an end with it. Now, I think people are saying, well, the White House, Biden, oh, this is happening because Donald Trump said we're getting the troops out. Donald Trump, if you look back to what he was doing, he was putting in, first, he was cutting peace deals. But secondarily, the condition of the troops being removed from the Middle East was conditional on these peace deals being completed and going into effect. So we all say, oh,
Mm.
Donald Trump was going to take out the troops, all that. Yeah, of course he was going to take out the troops. But first of all, he was going to ensure that the deals was signed. He was going to make sure everything was done. And secondarily, and most importantly, these foreign actors knew that if you went out of line with him, he was going to strike back. No liberal could honestly look you in the eye and say that this would have gone down the way it did if Donald Trump was at the helm. They know it. They're lying to themselves if they say anything differently. He was a strong man who meant what he said, and he did it. I mean, we saw examples. If the Taliban were doing what they were doing now and attacking our embassy, Donald Trump would have blew him off the map. I'm just saying, it's simple, it's blunt, but it's common sense. And that's what we've lacked with this Afghanistan strategy. It's been common sense. And these globalists who have been, propping up the Afghan government, putting in, literally, you had a corrupt president in there. Tucker Carlson just said last night, you had a police force, 75% of them, they were ghosts. They weren't even real. They were on the payroll getting money from, guess what? You, the taxpayers in this country, getting money from us. They had a fighting force. Joe Biden said it's the strongest fighting force, as strong as anybody in the world, 300,000. Where are they? Nowhere to be found. You got this ragtag militia, the Taliban, 75,000, who literally did a real insurrection. They're in the presidential palace, whatever, in Afghanistan, kicking their feet up on the desk, implementing their laws, new Sharia law, all that stuff. That's an insurrection, okay? So I think that this would have been very different if Donald Trump was at the helm. I think the pullout would have been conditional on the peace deals. I think that people respected the fact that Donald Trump, literally, like everyone says, oh, he's crazy. He has such crazy tone with other countries. Guess what? Maybe that's a good thing because
Yeah.
everybody was afraid of the United States of America. They did not want to cross us. And I know for a fact that that man would not have stood for the flag at the embassy being lowered or whatever they did. It was a disgrace. Joe Biden is weak. The United States has no president right now. We have no president, no commander in chief.
It's astonishing to see, because you're absolutely right. One of the big critiques of Trump was that he would go to war with everybody, and my response to people is always like, don't we want a president that will protect us the way the government should, as opposed to a president that just wants to make peace with the whole world? But instead, he's standing up for everything that we are as a country. So now we're getting to a place where Joe Biden literally doesn't know what to say. He's going to talk in about an hour
Yeah.
from when this is being recorded, and I'm so curious to know what he has to say. What do you think are his motivations for, first of all, arming people in the Taliban in Afghanistan, for not doing anything about this situation besides making it worse and staying super quiet? What do you think is his motivation behind all this? Do you think he has one?
I don't know. Maybe Hunter Biden is going to take a board member position on the Taliban executive committee or something like that. Because Joe Biden, it's usually how Joe Biden operates. That's the most reliable thing you can say about him. If you're dealing with a foreign adversary, somehow Hunter Biden will find his way to a situation where he's making money off it. The Chinese hedge fund, the Ukrainian oil company, the mayor in Russia, and the consulting fees. So that's the only thing I think could be predictable about this. But
Mm,
no, I mean, why is Joe Biden doing this? I mean, why is he behaving this way? I really, honestly, I'm dumbfounded. But the thing
yeah.
about this that I have to point out is that Joe Biden is not pulling the strings in this country. It's sad. The United States, like I said, we have no president, right? There are people behind the scenes who are telling Joe Biden what to say, telling him what to do, and pulling all the strings behind him. He's got 10 people who write policy for him, hand him note cards, and tell him to go out there and read it. It's scary. He's the first president in the history of the country, right? In the United States history, who has no ideas, no platform, no convictions, and that people are openly saying, is this guy even running the show? He's been in Camp David. Psaki's on vacation. So I don't know why they're doing this. I think it's pure weakness. I think they don't know what to do. I think you have these idealistic toddlers who are at the table making these policies. But guess what? They're getting rich off of it, right? Because the military-industrial complex, everything that's been going on over the past number of years, these globalists, these people have made a lot of money off of it, right? I mean, I don't know what's going on with the Afghan government. You can't think that that's on the up and up. There's corruption there. I'm sure people are benefiting off of it. So I don't know what Joe Biden's angle is, but it's clearly not an angle for the people. It's clearly not an angle for, Afghanistan first or America first. It's literally dark special interest chaos. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I want to continue along this path. I just want to shift the perspective to now how the media is covering it, because that to me is completely absurd, and it's almost like we're watching a Key and Peele skit, like a Dave Chappelle skit. You see, like, you couldn't write funnier comedy satire if you tried.
Oh
you
my
see
God.
a lady who's on CNN, and she's got the what do you call it on her head? Anyway, she's wearing
garb,
the garb of the Muslim people in respect to them, because she's there, and she's behind a bunch of people with AK-47s and all of these weapons, and they're chanting "Death to America." She looks at the camera on CNN and says, "They're chanting Death to America," but at the same time they seem so friendly. It's bizarre. And I'm just like, what is there's nothing friendly about this scenario at all. First of all, you're a woman from a modern country, and you have to go there, and you have to place this garb over your head so you don't get beheaded. And
Yeah.
so what is the media doing? Where is this going, do you think?
I think it's just, I will say, just on your first remark, this is literally comedy. I don't know what else I could do besides, it is like a skit. It is surreal. Seeing the Taliban people, I saw the footage that came out. I saw them in the New York Post first, and it was the video footage of them, with their large weapons in the presidential palace, kicking their feet up, saying, oh, we're in charge now. You see the pictures that are coming out. It's literally so bizarre that it's comical, right?
Yeah.
And then if you shift gears and look at it one layer more, you see what's going on with the people trying to escape, hanging on to the airplane that's taken off or whatever they were doing, the people trying to get out so badly. That's where it turns truly tragic. But it's all so unbelievable. It's something that you would see in a movie. And the reporters and the media, it's like that same reporter that you were talking about. Literally last week, I saw a picture of her when she was reporting in the Middle East last week. She wasn't wearing the garb, right? She wasn't wearing it, right? Now she's wearing it. So she's wearing it now because she fears the fact that she's going to get beheaded. I saw another report that the Taliban and these people are going door to door, finding people who have supported the United States, finding people who, have been pro-Afghan government, and they're beheading them and getting rid of them. So, of course, people are fleeing. So it's literally so bizarre that it's comical seeing these Taliban people do it. And then it's so sad at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like a horror movie watching these people escape the regime. So,
they're dancing around. Bad. They're dancing around, taking pictures and putting up videos on YouTube. It has this. It reminds me of the Mel Brooks movie where he does the play about the Nazis, Springtime for Hitler, where it's just like this super dark idea, but it's done such a hilarious way to think that these Taliban guys are like storming into places and then just taking videos of themselves and put it on YouTube. It's kind of hilarious, and it's a little bit American.
How the hell is the spokesperson of the Taliban on Twitter right now, but Donald Trump is still suspended? How the hell do I put up videos on my YouTube? RSBN puts up videos on YouTube and gets suspended, taken down, get a warning strike, all those things that they do on big tech. But the Taliban is out there putting whatever they want. Is YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok censoring the Taliban right now? Are they giving them the same 7-day suspensions and warnings that I've gotten when I'm trying to put things out there? Of course not, right? Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I've actually seen beheading videos on YouTube, and they haven't been taken down. But like you said, the president can't have a Twitter where he talks about these things. So
Yeah.
it's insane to me for sure. Um, One of the things that kind of strikes me as incredibly sad on the opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to this, and very scary, is like I'm a Christian. One of the things that's very dangerous about this whole Afghanistan situation is the Taliban is actually sending letters to pretty much every known Christian community in the whole country, and pretty much saying, we know who you are, we're coming to get you, you better not run, and we're definitely going to kill you. So these things that are being persecuted over there are the same things that we're persecuting here, maybe on a social level, definitely not on the Taliban level. But it's weird to see that parallel where you're like, okay, the Taliban doesn't like Christianity, and neither does America anymore. So what do you make of this parallel between the things that the Taliban is against and the things that we're for here in the United
I
States?
tell you, how can you have a Democrat Party that embraces people like Elon Omar, who have been so adamant for, the regime change in Afghanistan? I mean, she literally hates America. She hates the ideals. America is a country that is formed on Christian values, right? That's the fundamental of what makes America America. So you have politicians right now in the government that, not you as in the people watching this, but people, citizens voted for, right? That hate America. They don't like America. And by way of that, they don't like Christian values. And you see it going on right now in Afghanistan. It's like anybody who's a Christian in this world, like, how are you voting for Joe Biden? Somebody who literally is standing idly by, and he's going to this catastrophe is going to unfold under his watch, and there's nothing that he can do to stop it because, one, he doesn't know what he's doing. Two, the people behind the scenes, again, we don't know who those people are, right? So I believe that they're radical left people who are feeding Joe Biden policy, and the whole ruse of the Biden administration is you have a president who looks and feels like a white moderate, but behind the scenes you have radicals who are writing his policy, implementing his agenda, and then also creating these head fakes, putting these smoke screens out in the media to distract us while they usher in crazy things, right? No one's talking about the fact that there was a massive hike with the food stamps. Nobody's talking about the fact that things in the infrastructure bill, they're going to look at, I talked about it on my show last week, taxing your driving on cars. It's like they're putting in these radical leftist ideology stuff. And with the radical left, we have seen time and time again, those people tend to be very anti-Christian. And what's Joe Biden doing about it? He's a proclaimed Catholic, right? He's a Christian man. He's not doing anything about it. And it shouldn't surprise anybody. It's really scary. But who's going to stop the Taliban? I know Donald Trump would have.
Yeah, 100%. You bring up an interesting point, which is that Joe Biden looks and feels like a white moderate. He really looks like a blue dog Democrat from the 1980s, 1970s. And to me, it seems like a really strategic move. It's almost like it's been planned for, since Trump was president, to get this guy in office, but not really have him calling the shots, and just have everybody kind of behind him saying, what's the next leftist, super socialist, even Marxist policy that we can implement in the States, and really just, have him as the mouthpiece for that, so that people can't be too skeptical, right? It's like Ben Shapiro used to say this all the time about Donald Trump, which I think is true of Joe Biden. You either attribute to him that he is a genius mastermind who nefariously is doing all these things, or you attribute to him that he's a dummy, that he doesn't know what he's doing. He can't be both, right? So, I think it's the same thing with Joe Biden. Either he's the smartest man in the world, or he is infinitely dumb, and all of these people are doing things for him.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I think Joe Biden he doesn't know what's going on. I think the Democrat apparatus is very smart. I really do. I'll give them credit. Kamala Harris is a very smart, calculating, self-interested, terrible person. But just because she's a terrible person doesn't make her dumb, right?
Right.
She's very intelligent. The people behind the scenes at the DNC are very intelligent. They're masterminds of propaganda. They're masterminds of, really the takeover of the country, as we've seen, right? So I don't think that they're dumb. I think that people who ascend to these levels are generally very smart people. But I think that Joe Biden is gone. I mean, he's had 2 brain surgeries, I think, in his life, 1 or 2. I don't know
Wow.
what it is.
I
But
didn't know
literally, they
that.
cut his brain open. So he's had brain surgeries. He's an unhealthy old man. He literally was walking on the White House lawn, and the Secret Service had to point him in the other direction because he was going the wrong way yesterday. If you notice at the start of his term, he used to not have, when he was in the Oval Office with other leaders and, the thing where they're like in front of the fireplace and they got the 2 chairs, he used to do that on his own. Now, if you notice, he has a note card on his lap when he does it.
Yeah.
He was in the pie shop over the 4th of July, I think in Michigan, and he literally had to read a note card to answer the question because he doesn't know what's going on if he doesn't have a little note card. When have we ever seen a president do that, right? And he
Yeah.
literally said a couple weeks ago that the Taliban was no threat, nothing, don't worry about it. So I think that Joe Biden is operating at about 15% brain capacity. He could say normal sentences, he could do normal things, but at the end of the day, this guy doesn't have the cognitive stamina. And quite frankly, he's old and unhealthy to be running this country. He's not running the country. So I don't think Joe Biden's a genius. I don't think he ever was a genius. I think he's past his prime. But I think that the people behind the scenes, people that you and I, we don't know who they are. We don't know what they're doing. They're literally the dark, shadowy figures. Those are the people making policy. So congratulations, Democrats. Oh, mean tweets, mean tweets. This is what you elected. You elected people that you don't even know who the hell they are. Oh, because Joe Biden's going to bring civility back into the world. Give me a break.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one thing that I talk about a lot on this channel. The left has a superpower, and that superpower is branding and marketing. They understand how to make things look appealing that are not appealing. And for me, it's sad to see that because, the conservative party, the Republic, the right, whatever you want to call it, cannot for the life of them become culturally relevant. And I think Trump, it kind of set something up where now people are understanding what makes people tick. But up until that, even the religious right of the 60s and 50s could not find cultural relevance. They were always anti-culture instead of being for some sort of other culture. What do you think is the next step for the right or conservative politics? How can we become more effective, and how can we step into the cultural world? Like the great Andrew Breitbart says, politics is downstream from culture. How can we affect that, and how can we make that known?
Well, I will say that Trump, another phenomenon of his presidency and his rise is that he brought the right-wing ideas, right? He brought America first, all that stuff. He brought these things into the mainstream culture conversation, right? You have young people, Gen Z, all this stuff. They're all into politics now, right? That's what I said earlier about how Trump brought these people in. I think that the left is always really good. You see, they got the influencers in there. They got the TikTok stars. They're paying the dude with the sign guy to put some vaccination propaganda stuff up there, right? So it's like they're so good at that. And the right, I mean, honestly, when you have these old bureaucratic swamp monsters who still wield influence, like Mitch McConnell and these people on the right, like they're so out of touch. They're so wrong. They're not in touch with the American people. So like enough is enough. We have massive followership on social media, and we get deplatformed, and we get censored, but we still break through even better than the left. I mean, you look like left-wing TikTok and left-wing social media, they're not funny. They're not cool. They're a bunch of angry, freaky losers, right?
Yeah.
But on the right, we have the ability to do it. I think that the White House or the future White House, Republican regimes, I think we got to get those young people into it. We got to do the things that the Biden administration is doing with the collaborations. But at the end of the day, we'll always be fighting a battle because Hollywood, all that stuff, they're always going to be left because they always like to virtue signal. They're always fake. But in order to do that, we need to break through once and for all the cancel culture battle. If we don't do that, we're never going to get it back because you need to be able to break through and say your ideas are not the minority. That's what Democrats do better than anything else is they make people believe that their ideas are the minority. Oh, you like Donald Trump? You're a freaky white supremacist. Are you a white supremacist? I don't think you're a white supremacist, right? So
no.
So it's so funny. It's like they want people like you immediately go, oh, we're white supremacists. We're in the minority. We could very well be domestic terrorists. You saw what came out with the Homeland Security. It's like that's what the left does better than anything. And then they censor the opposition voices. Literally, I see people every single day getting kicked off of Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, Twitter, the likes. They kick off mainstream Republican figures. They kicked me off of TikTok. I made a video about Psaki, and it got me zapped, right? I've seen other people. They're making videos. They're making things. They're putting things out there, and it's getting them zapped and kicked off. So that's what they do. Like, they're not even offensive videos. They're not bad, but they're kicking people on the right off because you have to stifle the information. That's how they cling to power, and that's why big tech has to be broken up once and for all because once people start getting big and start spreading a message in a way that other people might find culturally relevant and that could be picked up, they squash them, right?
Yeah.
So there are people
what I've
out there
noticed
who
is that for sure. It's like it's based on how effective you are. The more effective you are, the more likely you'll be called an alt-righter or white supremacist or all these things.
Yeah.
But if you're not effective, you're just banned and they don't even address it. The minute that you become effective in your messaging, you start to get treated like the enemy of the state, the villain.
Yeah.
One thing, so James O'Keefe said this once, and I thought about it for a while, and I want to get your take on it. He said that there's a bifurcation of the American economy that's based along party lines. And I think one of the ways that the conservative right can start to push back is by creating their parallel economy. It's not ideal, and it's not like a great thing for the country. But at this point, it's like, what else is left? We should be creating our own media platforms, our own social media, movies, entertainment, theater, arts, all of that stuff, in order to kind of be able to promote what we want to promote. Because one thing that the left has done, and that's genius, is that they've made politics and culture kind of synonymous, and that they merge together. So when you're watching Netflix, it'll start off as a great, true, plot line about something that's very realistic, and it'll end in LGBTQ rights, right? By season 4, you're watching like a full-blown LGBTQ show, and you had no idea. It was like Breaking Bad at the beginning. And so I wanted to get your take on that, because I think that's so interesting, and I'm wondering if there's a downside to that. I'm assuming there is. But what is the downside and the upside to having a parallel American economy based along things that the conservative movement would like to, I guess, uplift?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you're so right. I mean, I can think about an example. It's like I'm watching Billions, a great show about, the economy and then all of a sudden you have it become an infomercial for, transgender, non-binary rights, right?
Yeah.
It's like they slip that in there, right? It's like, why do that? It's like there's an agenda behind that, right? So, I mean, I feel I go both ways about it. I mean, I think that, we can create the parallel economy. We can do all that. But everyone says, build your own platform, build your own thing. And then at the end of the day, the apparatus that's so big surrounding all this, big tech, Amazon, these companies, they have become so large. So I think we need to default back to people like Teddy Roosevelt. You got to break up these monopolies. You got to break them up. I think they have become so powerful that Alphabet, the company that runs Google, Facebook, Zuckerberg, these people are more powerful than the biggest titans of American industry in the history of the world, right?
Yeah.
So these people need to be broken up. We don't elect Amazon for our information. We don't elect Google, right? We don't elect Amazon to say, we don't like this website, so Amazon Web Services took off Parler or whatever they did, and stuff like that. It's like we need Republicans who are not spineless rhinos to come into office and take a stand about this. I really hate when I see people like, people like Paul Ryan, who used to be in office, and these other people who said, oh, you know what? It's free enterprise. We can't interfere. You know why they're saying that? Because they're bought and paid for by big tech. Also, they're on the take and they're selling you out. And that kind of circles all the way back to the beginning. You got to know who you're voting for in your local elections. You got to know where they're getting money. So it's like, I'm all for the Republicans banding together and doing their own thing and making their own culture. I think that's great. But it's funny because the left hates when conservative and liberal culture is the same. Look at them on Twitter. They freak out, right? I think conservatives all say, oh, it's fine. You could say your liberal bullshit. We could say our conservative stuff. And let's be in the same, atmosphere. Democrats, far left, they can't even take that. They're so intolerant. So I like taking the fight to them. I think that once and for all, we need to break up the tech monopolies. I think time has come for it. I used to feel less strong about that. Like I never was in favor or not favor, but I used to never even think about it that much. But once I've seen the perpetual continuation of the shadow ban, things that literally James O'Keefe have unearthed, right? These things, they're criminal, right? They're messing with our information. They're tampering. Literally, Curtis Sliwa, who's running for mayor of New York City, he's getting videos taken down on TikTok. Is he a controversial radical figure? He's literally the Republican nominee for the mayor of New York City, and they're taking down his videos. He made a video about it. So honestly, I go back and forth, what we should be doing ideally in a perfect world. But I think we need to elect people who are going to take down and break up big tech, and then let the barriers of entry be taken down. And then we could do our own thing. They could do their thing. We could do it on the same platforms. And then we could just honestly win probably more than ever if we can get our message out unfiltered.
I think you're totally right, man. I definitely wasn't in favor of of breaking up monopolies for a while, and I think it's just gotten to such a point that this is an anomaly in history, right? Like, there's never been anything this big. A company owner has never had more power than the largest government and the most powerful government in the world, and so, like, at this point, it's like there's really no other choice. So you're just going to let these people who have never been voted in, who are just completely unvoted, are you going to allow them to have power essentially over all of the information in the world and what you can and can't see online? So I definitely agree with your assessment.
Yeah.
We're hitting up around half an hour now. I want to give you some time to kind of, just plug whatever you want to plug. Say, talk about what you're doing on your show, because your show
Right.
is awesome. You had Gavin Wax on recently, which I checked out. So talk a little bit about what you're doing at Red White Truth.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's been really great to spend some time with your audience and be on here today. I think that Right Side Broadcasting, honestly, is just a tremendous network. They got notoriety for really being one of the first true unfiltered news sources. They're putting out. That's what they did in 2016. Is that the CEO Joe Seals, who created that network? He said, "Wow, the media isn't showing. There's a movement going on with Donald Trump stuff like we've never seen in the history of politics." And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to these events. We're going to cover them unfiltered. We're going to show the crowd. We're going to talk to the people. We're going to air it uncut because this is truly historic. Listen, 30,000 people don't show up for nothing, right? Time
Yeah.
after time after time, right? People are going to 10 Trump rallies. They're going in the freezing cold. They're going in the sweltering heat. They're waiting online for 2 days. Why do humans behave that way? Why are they doing that? Donald Trump's movement is an anomaly in history in that sense, right?
Yeah.
No other politician in the history of the world has probably ever done that. So
Yeah.
Right Side Broadcasting tapped into that. They've done it. They've done an amazing job of building themselves up. And then myself with Red, White, and Truth. So I host a show on the network weekly. It airs Thursday nights at 11 p.m. on RSBN. RSBN just recently started rolling out some programming and some shows. And the reason why I started doing what I do, it's like I live a great life. I've lived a great life. I'm in business. I'm in New York City. I'm doing all these things. But I realized that we did not have candid, straight dialogue, unfiltered, uncensored, saying it in a way that nobody else says. It's like, let's talk to each other like real people. Let's not be a little talking head from some policy institute or whatever you want to call it. You put them up there. They give their canned lines. They're serving this person on Capitol Hill and this special interest. It's like, let's just talk candid, real, straight, right? Let's talk how real people talk, give you the news. I would see these stories online that people didn't cover on the mainstream media, not even Fox News. I used to defend Fox News when people were saying that, oh, Fox was going downhill. Now that I'm in the media, I see it. Fox News is not covering stories week after week. It's like, who's covering it? Who's going to step up and cover it? And not only cover it, but cover it in a way that's direct, that is organized. I mean, I think we have a very nice production quality. We've invested a lot of money into a production that I think if people watch it hour and a half every week, they're going to get all the stories that the mainstream media won't cover, and it's going to be in a fun, engaging, fast-paced way. And we also try to get great guests on because some of these guests realize what we're doing. We're appealing to people who, we share their anger. We want them to know that it's okay to be upset with Joe Biden and what's going on, but we want to talk together about ideas collectively to take this country back. And we think we have a fun time doing it. And we have some great guests. We had Curtis Sliwa, who's running for mayor of New York. We had Gavin Wax, who's all over the place. We know him, love him. We've had Kimberly Guilfoyle on. We've had Andrew Giuliani, and we're getting some great people. We're talking to, some really prominent members of Congress right now. I'm booking them as well. These people want to come on because we truly are the base. We are unfiltered news. You even have Newsmax now, who's having to filter some of their stuff, and other outlets who are like, having to tiptoe around certain things. We don't tiptoe around it. We're saying what people are thinking, but they don't say it, right? I got friends, they work in finance, they work in business. They send me these things to the DM, and they're like, oh, this is nuts. This is crazy. This doesn't make any sense. And if their opinion was in the open, they would be labeled as, conspiracy. Oh, you're just one crazy person. It's like, this is
Yeah.
what the mainstream is thinking. So that's what we're putting on Red, White, and Truth. We keep it fast-paced. We keep it moving. We have a fun time doing it. And, anybody who's watching this right now, if you guys tune in, Right Side Broadcasting Network every Thursday night at 11, we bring the heat with great guests and give you some unfiltered content. And I think that's the future of media is, cutting through these narratives where people are getting on TV who are beholden to other people,
Absolutely, man. So where can people find you if they want to follow you?
Well, I would first say Instagram is the first place to go, at Red White Truth. That's our biggest platform. We pump out the clips keep you informed, pump out several posts a week, clips from the show. If you go on Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube, Right Side Broadcasting on Facebook, our episode airs, like I said, every Thursday night at 11. You'll see it on there. So all our videos are on Right Side Broadcasting. We also have our own YouTube channel where we put the episodes and then also post bonus content, clips, what have you. Twitter at Red, White, and Truth, or at Red, White, Truth. And maybe we'll get back on TikTok one day if our ban is ever lifted. But right now, it's not looking so good.
Damn, I want to see Red, White, and Truth TikTok content for sure.
We were good. We were gaining 1,000 new followers a day. We were over 30,000. I had made it for like 2 months, and then they just pulled the plug. And I try to post right now on it on my backup account, and the video automatically gets flagged and blocked. So they know it's my phone. That's how deep it is. Seriously.
Damn. And you guys are big on Rumble too, right? That's a big part.
Yes. If you guys are Rumble people, Right Side Broadcasting Network is really exploding on Rumble as well. So Right Side Broadcasting Network, Rumble, RSBN, a couple 100,000 followers on there as well. And our show's pulling in about 50, 60,000 folks a week. And we hope you guys will check it out.
Awesome. Mike, thanks so much for coming on, man, and just giving us your time, your wisdom, all of it. So I appreciate you coming on. Of course, you're a friend of the show. Welcome back anytime. And we'll be in touch, man. We're in the area, so we'll be in touch.
Absolutely. New York City. We're saving our city. We're saving this country. Hats off to you for doing what you're doing. Hats off to everybody listening because it's the only way we're going to do it. Piece by piece. Got to win the battles to win the war.
Absolutely, man. Thanks again. Stick around while I stop recording.